Assignment dealing with density. I'm going to demonstrate the three different types of problems that you will likely see on your test that have to do with finding the density, the mass, or the volume. So just to remember, we're always going to use density equals mass divided by volume. D equals m over v. And just remember that the units associated with density is grams per centimeter cubed or grams per milliliter, and the unit for mass is grams, and the unit for volume is either centimeter cubed or milliliter. So let's look at number 5. Number 5 says if you have 60 milliliters of a liquid, they've given you the volume. How many grams? Grams is what they're looking for, so that's the mass, that's what we're trying to find. And then they give you the density. So if you have two of the three variables in an equation, you can solve for the third very easily using your math skills. So let's do that real quick. Density equals mass divided by volume. Density is 7.84. Mass we don't know, so we're going to leave that variable there. And the volume we do know is 60 milliliters. This is a simple one-step equation. In order to get rid of the 60 in the denominator, you would multiply both sides by 60, because whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. That gets rid of those, and you're left with a mass equals 470.4, and I would label that grams. Okay? So that is an example of when the mass is left out. The next one is an example of when they don't give you the density. These are probably the easiest because you don't have to really do any major solving of an equation. It's just a matter of multiplying. You do, however, use the same formula. So density equals mass divided by volume. Plug in what I know. I know the volume and I know the mass. So very easy. Density equals 306.0 grams divided by 22.5 milliliters. And if you did the calculation on your calculator, you would get a density of 13.6 grams per milliliter. And that's the answer for that one. And then the last type would be like number 10 on this assignment. They've given you the mass, they've given you the density, and they want you to find the volume. What volume? They're asking for that. So again, start out with density equals mass divided by volume. Plug in what we know. Density is 10.5, mass is 2,500, and volume we don't know, so we leave that as a variable. Now here's the part where a lot of people mess up. I don't like to deal with fractions, so I'm going to get rid of that fraction. And the best way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply that fraction by its reciprocal. And the reciprocal in this case would be v over 1. And if I do that, that gets rid of the v's, and I'm just left with 2,500 on this side. However, if you multiply this side by v, you have to multiply this side by v, and you would get 10.5 v. Then it's a simple one-step equation. You divide both sides by 10.5 to get v by itself. And if you did that correctly, you would get a volume. You would get a volume of 238.1 centimeters cubed. And the reason I chose centimeters cubed is because in the problem they gave me a density with centimeters cubed. It's perfectly fine if you put grams per milliliter, but since they were talking about centimeters cubed, I'm going to keep the unit the same. But a milliliter is the same as a centimeter cubed. Same size, just a different unit. Okay? Hopefully this is helpful in calculating the density or figuring out the volume or figuring out the mass if you're given the two different variables in your problem. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.